Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Helly.
And
Tyler Hymanson.
And welcome back, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of Cabin Fever.
Not fall fever or summer fever.
Not spring fever like last week.
No, it's patient zero fever. That fever everybody knows.
Yes. Well, before we get started with our episode, as we always do, Eliz, where can people reach out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're almost out of Cabin Fever, the movie series, not the actual thing. And so you can email us your suggestions for future franchises, sequelrights@gmail.com, or also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and also YouTube at Sequel Rights.
And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. The reviews really help us and help us get to new listeners. Or alternatively, if you don't want to log on to the Apple Music Store, or if that's not how you listen, just share your favorite episode on social media, and we'd really appreciate it.
That's right. Well, why don't we dive into the sometimes titled Cabin Fever 3, Patient Zero, otherwise known as just Cabin Fever Patient Zero.
We are on the verge of a global pandemic.
You're not just a carrier. You're a possible cure.
You can't just keep experimenting on me.
You are Patient Zero.
Been married more. One last night of freedom, a chartered trip to a deserted tropical island.
Out of here.
What happened? Penny thinks she saw something.
Look at this.
Oh, Jesus. Baby, I told you to put on sunscreen.
That guy was great. Hey, what the fuck did you do? I told you to put on sunscreen.
Sunscreen.
You doofus. This is the third Cabin Fever movie. And we get, we find out right away that there's actually a pretty big star in this movie.
That's right.
That I was not expecting.
Rudy
himself has found himself in the Dominican Republic, besieged by some sort of skin-eating virus.
Yeah.
How far the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was long before the Sean Astin Assance that was like Stranger Things, and then I guess nothing else, but he became real popular again when Stranger Things happened. And
it was like Lord of the Rings, then this is the valley, then there was a peak. Now we're heading back towards another valley.
Yeah, maybe. This was around the same time he was doing a lot of shilling for Run Disney, actually. So he always used to speak at the Run Disney Expo about how he would run half marathons or whatever. And my mom got a picture with him once, even though she didn't realize who he was until after. She just got in line, like, celebrities, everyone getting in line, okay. And then was like, hey.
Well, hopefully hopefully he still wasn't a carrier for the virus, because that'd be messed up.
I know. He was asymptomatic.
Yeah, what the fuck? This movie starts off with a kind of cool montage, like slow motion montage of Sean Astin being ripped from whatever home he was in, and you hear all these kind of like 911 calls, like,
yeah,
help, they're coming to find me.
But like the 911 call just kept going, even though the operator was clearly like, no comprende, like, no habla inglés, like, she kept being like, I don't know what the hell you're saying. And he was just like, everyone's dead,
They're all dead. They melted. They melted, you guys.
And then he's brought to a laboratory where scientists, I guess, motivations get altered.
Yeah. This is before we go too far into the plot, I just want to talk about where this film falls in the timeline, because everywhere you look, it says like, oh, it's a prequel, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, it's called Patient Zero. It seems like it's a prequel. But like the very first line after we get this like main title is like a reference that to the events in the U.S. where the one nurse or other doctor, scientist person is saying, the U.S. ones were, contained in super small situations, and I have no idea how I made it to the Dominican Republic.
Even though all these Americans are here.
But it's like, it is also a line where if you were not paying attention, and like some of the reviews I read were very much like, I had no idea there were 2 other Cabin Fever movies.
People not paying attention.
So I could see where if you were not really watching the movie, the rest of it makes it seem like it's a prequel, even though that makes no sense.
The title Patient Zero, I feel like, is the only thing that makes it seem like a prequel. And like it could be Patient Zero of that particular outbreak, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I mean, even
that's what they're saying.
Yeah, even the Wikipedia says it acts as a prequel to the 2 previous films, and I'm like, what? No.
Well, as Walt Disney said, never forget it all started with a mouse.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the Wikipedia and edit that and be like, we are the experts here.
This is riveting podcasting. Justin's gonna live edit Wikipedia while we all listen,
and I'm gonna mark a reference as this time code in the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sean Astin, his character's name is Porter, and he gets locked up because he's a carrier. He's the only guy who's got the virus, and nothing's happening to him. So maybe we can figure out a cure.
Yes, this movie has dual narratives, and I guess that they're both C stories.
It's 2 completely different movies, like until the last quarter of the film. You're like, when are they going to go back to Sean Astin? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, they do not put them together at all. It's just like part A, part B, and then like part F.
They collide, There was a whole section of the movie where I was like, oh man, this is so cool. They like the Sean Astin stuff clearly was like in the past, and now they're here like exploring the island.
Is this movie actually going to do something cool?
And then I was like,
this movie might actually do something cool.
Yeah. Then I was like, oh wait,
and then it didn't.
It just doesn't make sense.
I thought they were going to come across Sean Astin living in the jungle, like a Kong Skull Island situation or something. Yeah, but it came together, and then you're like, that doesn't work, and then there
was actually like a zombie dude at one point. There's basically zombies in this movie.
There's multiple zombies. It doesn't make any sense. But that has not been part of the disease at all.
Yeah, the first zombie guy that you see, I actually was like, it kind of looks like Sean Astin decomposed. Is that him? Is that supposed to be him?
Yeah.
But it was not him. So,
but they're keeping Sean Astin against his will to run experiments on him, I guess.
Dr. Edwards and all his Hollywood model doctors.
Yeah, hot doctors.
Hot doctors.
Hot heiress doctor who end up getting in a very shameless fight later on.
Yes.
Oh, God.
That was amazing. Basically they're going to try to figure out a, what were they calling it? A viricide? Something that kills.
Is that a real word?
I don't know.
In the Patient Zero world, the viricide.
You committed viricide.
So that's all happening, and this would be Cabin Fever without a bunch of douchebag young adults.
That's right.
Viricide is real.
There we go.
Is it like Barbicide?
No. The difference. Okay, so a viricide actually destroys the virus. Antiviral stops the virus from growing, and then a vaccine will, make you immune to the virus.
Inoculate yourself, yes.
Yeah.
Well, either way, I feel like, they had the perfect opportunity to try and create a cure for the virus, and they just went around the creepiest way of doing it and then turned, Sean Astin against them. They could have been like super nice about it and be like, no, man, this is helping everyone. Instead, they are real creepy, and he's like in a weird like Hannibal Lecter cage and stuff.
But he's also like definitely insane before they even started treating him real bad.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like talking to him, and he's like crying, and he's like, I need to buy school supplies. Like, I need to buy books and pencils.
Yeah.
It's like, pencils?
And there's also an amazing moment where like the doctor, one of the doctors is like, what's that noise? What's that noise? Is somebody somebody singing? What is that? And then we pan over. Yeah. 3 blind mice. 3 blind mice. And I love that because I know that, we've had, I think, we've had similar situations like this before. It was like, what public domain songs can you sing that are like a nursery rhyme, but also like creepy? And that is like 3 Blind Mice is like one of the top ones because, as he goes further into the song, it gets into the butcher knife stuff. And that's a chance for him to be like, I'm crazy. Yeah.
You could offer me $50 right now, and I would not be able to sing 3 Blind Mice after See How They Run. Like, I do not know the rest of the words. Does anybody actually, like...
No.
Yeah, because it gets real dark. And they're
he knew it enough to, like, scream sing it.
Yeah, he also knew the whole story behind the nursery rhyme in the first place.
Nerd.
Friggin' nerd. Yeah.
If you've never heard 3 Blind Mice sung by Sean Astin in a menacing scream... You're missing out.
This is your movie.
I feel like that more so, it's a trope that has come up often on this show of somebody scream singing something at somebody.
Well, we had Open Water where the person was singing Frere Jacques all the time.
That's right.
And there was a lot of this movie where I was like, was this also once an open water movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a boat involved and snorkeling. Yeah. So we get introduced to these other characters like we were talking about in the B plot, right? We got all these really recognizable names like Mark and Josh and Penny. And Dobbs, I guess. The one guy's name is Dobbs.
I'm pretty sure his God-given name is Marky Mark.
Yeah. And it's Marcus's wedding weekend apparently, and
yep.
But his plan, his friends have planned one last surprise for him. They're going to take him out on a bachelor boat weekend.
Bachelor boat weekend.
Or night or something. To one of those virgin beaches.
It's unclear what the plan is here. And also it seems like they own a boat business of some kind.
Really? Since when?
They own some business. I was never clear what the business was.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was boats.
I mean, they were talking about buying boats, so like, yeah, I thought that like, or maybe he was just like, it's like the company yacht. I'm not really sure.
Well, I remember like, there's like no mention barely of the business the entire movie, and then you realize, I mean, man, this other dude is like really messed up about this business because he, in the middle of his rant, is like, "You left our business of 2 years," like really upset about it. And I was like, "What?
That's what's going to happen when Justin leaves the podcast. Like, Justin, you left our podcast of 3.4 years."
Yeah. What's wrong with you, man?
You left this business that we've basically just started.
You're leaving
and made $0.
You're leaving your wife.
No, this movie is like right out of Justin's life. Like it's like, okay, American friends, let's all go to a Latin country for my wedding. Get on a boat and go to a secret beach. Like this is basically what happened in real life.
Yeah, I mean, if I was diving underwater though and saw all those fish bones, I don't think I'd be like.
This was a scene that
was
okay. I gotta say, this movie has some genuine like scary moments.
Yeah,
and
there's
and
some
cool
stuff.
in it.
There's some cool stuff.
And there's a point where they get to this island and they're snorkeling. And basically, you can tell that the virus has gotten in the water, and there's just all of these fish that are completely
that was disgusting,
fucked up, and that they are also like they were torn apart in a way that it could have just been the ocean. Like there was just like a massive predator there. Like they think it's a shark, and they're not like dumb to think that.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing I could think of is like, there's no way that you film this other than throwing fish carcasses in there, and they're swimming real close to them.
Yeah. They swim right through them, and I was like, ew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really gross. I mean, at least when we weren't snorkeling, it was like super deep in the water. But yeah, it was gross. I hope some of those fish are fake at least.
I don't know.
Yeah, they were probably real. They looked pretty real.
Yeah, they looked pretty real.
But you never know. You never know. I
mean, the salt water is, the spoiler alert, that stuff's in the ocean. Like, it's all over the place. But, it's not, I don't even really want to think about it. But 3 for 3 of weird water that people don't want to fall in for cabin fever movies.
Yeah, I don't think we've really seen the virus affect animals that much though yet. I mean, it
The dog.
might have infected
The
the
dog.
dog.
Yeah, the
but,
dog, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, that dog just was like that. Yeah.
I thought he was.
He died of natural causes.
What was the dog's name?
Uh,
Oh wait, what was Eli Roth's
the dog in the.
Doctor something.
Oh yeah, I was like the dog in the beginning was super dead from.
No, not that one.
from
I
the
was talking
disease.
about the one that eats the girl later on.
I was like, there was a dog in the very first part of the first movie. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Never mind then. Ugh. But yeah, it's like we have this whole thing with Sean Astin, which like these
Cuts away
scientists-
before it can get interest.
Yeah, it's a real one of my favorite South Park things is where they always go, Mr. Scientist. Okay, like which is like definitely what they kept doing to this, evil doctor guy. They even call him Dr. Evil at some point.
Yeah, they do.
Which accurate. But it was almost comical how I don't even know her name. The one good lady
it was
that works
like-
there.
I think it was like Camilla.
The
Yeah.
good one.
Camilla.
Yeah. Yeah, Justin, just like say the word specimen.
Specimen.
Don't you mean human? What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
Every
Yeah.
time they say like, we need to collect a sample. It's a person, not a sample. It's like, we got it the first two times.
Yeah, that was so funny. And also that part, you heard it in the trailer, but when the doctor is like, "You're patient 0," and then looks at the camera like, wink. Get it? Patient 0?
We have to get him a transfusion. Yeah, of human blood. Yeah, it's this. Yeah, like you said, like the doctor's just menacing for no reason. I mean, he's. It seems like the movie is trying to play with the idea that perhaps he made the virus and like he unleashed it and he's testing it on people.
I mean, this movie is basically like a dramatization of what Trump thinks the coronavirus was made.
Yeah,
That's what I couldn't stop thinking about that. I was like,
Right.
this is what he thinks happened for 100%. You watch this movie and be like, I watched the most amazing documentary the other day.
it's like, yeah, and Eric Trump's friends went to the island.
Yeah.
And like for some reason, this movie is available as part of like every streaming platform and membership. Where normally it's like one or the other. It's
Yeah.
licensed only to one place or one conglomerate. This thing's on every platform.
Sean Astin's agent, knows how to get it done.
Yeah.
But there are no other recognizable actors in this movie at all.
Nope.
Well, isn't the doctor, wasn't he like...
He was in a bunch of stuff. Yeah, Abby recognized
Wasn't he in
him.
Game of Thrones or something?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
And one of the lady doctors is Chris Hardwick's wife, and a Hearst heiress.
Oh, really? Dang.
Yeah.
The white one?
Yeah, Lydia Hearst.
Ugh.
Yeah, she has all that
Yikes.
newspaper money.
Yeah.
Her dad's Citizen Kane,
Oh, God.
or granddad. I don't know.
They wanted to put the price up on the Newsies papes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then so then we get these guys, the friends go to the island, and they brought some weed and some beers, and I guess steaks, because there's a point in the movie where he goes to Penny, he's like, "Hey, don't you want any steak?" And like, no one's cooked anything at all. Like, you've gotten stoned and drank beer, but okay.
Yeah. How high are you guys right now? But yeah, like almost immediately after they get out of the water, first of all, like their friends are high, so they're just like, "Oh, you saw dead fish, whatever." But almost immediately, Penny's like noticing these like chemical burns on basically on her skin, and we all know what that means. That skin is coming off.
Oh, let's not forget that the reason we know as an audience that they're all such good friends is because as a gift for his bachelor party, they give him a gigantic novelty black dildo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the thing that's funny about, I mean, it is kind of funny when it happens because the guy who they're giving it to, the groom, is like, "Oh, is it a bottle of Cab?" Like he's very excited about it being this adult. Like he's overacting, thinking it's this adult gift, but it's not.
Well, yeah, it's so funny because the whole movie is like, I'm too good for my dumb loser friends. I want to be a fancy guy. She says I can be a fancy boy. I want to marry her because she thinks I'm fancy. And that, I mean, but he's torn. Like he's like, do I want to be with the fancy wife or do I want to go with Cucumber Girl or whatever?
Yeah.
Which was so gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
This girl
was so bad.
Yeah, this girl Penny that he's apparently in love with from his childhood, yet like refers to her as Cucumber Girl and goes around telling everyone this story that we don't actually hear, but you all know what happened.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah, and it also happens to be his brother's girlfriend at the time.
Yeah. Not cool.
So he's like, I'm torn between this woman I love and then I've already invited all my friends down here to marry and I'm willing to overturn this business of 2 years. But, you know, I kind of might want to have sex again with this girl that's still my friend that I had sex with in high school.
Exactly. It's like, what? And he seems like real broken up.
He does what every good friend does to a guy right before he's about to get married. Flash him for no reason in the boat cabin.
Yep.
Yeah. Not cool. Not cool.
Yep.
Well, Penny is, in the tent, like, starting to get real fucked up.
Yep.
And what happens? So Marcus and Dobbs,
they go for a hike.
They go for a hike, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Josh is hanging in the tent with his girlfriend Penny, and
does do more to take care of her than any other boyfriend in the other movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. He actually does try.
He's like, oh, you're not feeling good. Like, okay, we'll get some Benadryl. Like, tries to calm her down, takes her seriously, isn't afraid of her. Probably should be a little bit more afraid of her.
Well, like, yeah, he's like.
Remember we had the Angelo Badalamenti dubbed finger bang misfire in the first film. Well, you just got to take it to the next base.
It's a sequel. It's a sequel, so that they have to advance the runner on the bases. And
this was so gross.
Yeah, he's like rubbing Benadryl lotion on her, and if anything about, if you know one thing about ointment, it's sexy.
Yeah.
And nothing puts you in the mood like a medicated ointment.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So he ends up this is a direct pleasuring her orally, and it goes poorly.
Yeah,
it's
a direct
including the audience.
It's a direct callback and an extension of the first film with this moment, which I thought it was really gross, but I was like, I appreciated that they were like, yeah, let's do a fun callback to the first movie. One of the scenes that everyone's like, ew, about. Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely. Like, I'm not against it just on principle alone. I guess what I'm against is how it could just be the way it was cut together, too, was really awful. But the two other guys hear her screaming bloody murder from the jungle.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, those guys, they just can't stop going at it. And then, like, a significant amount of time passes. And then she screams again, and I don't think it was the same scream. And then that's when the boyfriend's like, yeah, like,
Yeah, also, like, I mean, come on, this guy he must have just been so in the zone, because there's no way he would have been like, this is not right. How would he not notice?
Yeah.
The way it happens.
The amount of viscera that appears on his face afterwards, like, she would be dead.
Yeah. He comes up like, babe, you got so wet, and there's like skin coming out of his mouth, and then he's like, ugh, what the fuck? Like, how did you not notice, bro? What's wrong with you?
Oh, and then she starts immediately vomiting blood.
Yeah, he kind of deserved the vomit for not stopping immediately the first time that she screamed.
Just a torrent of blood out of her mouth.
Yeah.
I don't don't know if there was quite so much puking in the past movies. I know they had the prom
prom
scene,
one,
but
there
that
was
was
a lot
because
of
everybody drank the punch. Like it didn't make you puke when you contracted it other ways before.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's like a comical like stream of puke.
Oh no, it's like an Evil Dead amount of blood. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's them saying like, we know what type of movie this is.
Yeah,
and then they immediately forget that fact.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the tone of the movie, I mean, we've talked about how the first one was all over the place. The second one was full on absurdist horror comedy. This one is like completely serious in tone and how it treats itself. But what you're seeing, it feels more like it should have been in the Ty West movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple moments in the film where you're like, what? Are they trying to be funny?
Yeah, and I think that they are. Like, I think that, but yeah, I think it's wildly different. And then, I mean, especially when you get to the ending where it's like supposedly this incredibly, we'll get to that, but like they ended on this super serious, like badass Avengers franchise moment.
Yeah, like, oh my God. It was the mouse. Yeah, I think the stuff with like Josh and Penny is like some of my favorite stuff in the movie, I think, because it's really funny. You know, we're talking about how he's like trying to be like really helpful, and like the turning point for him is like there's one point where he goes, I don't remember exactly where in the movie this falls, but he goes back into the I think he gets a call on the, you know, he talks to someone on the radio, like, and they're saying like, oh, Dr. Edwards can come help you up in this facility, come here. And he goes back into the tent to like get Penny, and he's like, here, I'll help you up. And he grabs her arms, and her skin just comes like right off. And I was like, oh, fuck, that was so sick. But that's just one of many moments in this movie where I was like, wow, the special effects on this is like really cool.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Super grotesque. Yeah, a lot of it looked practical too, which I enjoyed.
I mean, the director, Kare Andrews.
It's Kari, yeah.
Yeah, he's primarily a comic book guy. So I guess it makes sense that like the visuals are super, super cool, but like, yeah, the dialogue and the film, like way it's put together is not right. Not that comic books are bad in any way narratively, but I guess I could try to understand why maybe he's better at the visual side.
Yeah, Tyler, you're more into comic books. Were you familiar with any of his work or anything?
No.
Oh, okay. It says he won some award for his artwork for Spider-Man Dr. Octopus. But yeah, it looks like he's mostly done a lot of comics, and then he directed a sequence in ABCs of Death. And a couple other movies, yeah.
Interesting. Nope, not super familiar.
Yeah, but
I mean, this would be one that I would say, like, you know, maybe he could have used better writers, but I think, like, technically it was fine.
Yeah. I think, you know, the moments where it needs to count in a Cabin Fever movie so far that we've seen, I think, is like the gore for sure. It's got to be like it's about a fucking skin disease, a flesh-eating virus. So those moments need to be killer gross, and I think it achieves that for sure in this movie.
It's very confusing once they actually get to this building because, you just don't know where they are in time.
Oh, yeah, exactly. This is where it was really confusing because everything, they kind of, there's this moment in the beginning where, something goes wrong at the lab and you see that like, oh, everyone's running into the bunker quick. But I was confused. Like, you didn't get a sense that like, everyone but the main three doctors were going in the bunker. I was really kind of confused what was going on there.
It made no. Well, this is the part where we thought that maybe the movie was doing a thing where everything was happening in the past, and like there was on divergent timelines.
You get kind of a fun in the middle there, I was like, oh, this is a really cool kind of Resident Evil type moment where they're like going through an abandoned lab and you can see like the name of the lab company everywhere, and they're like looking at all the documents and trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, it looks like it's been abandoned for years, not 24 hours.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's like I looked this up too. I was like, when did Far Cry 3 come out? And it was like, like right around this. That's a bunch of teenagers on an island, like young adults on an island, like having to fight. Like, okay, like so it's like this is all very video gamey.
I know, it was making me think of Dead Island and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
But I did at the moment when I was like unsure what was going on with the plot, enjoy this middle part because I like the idea of like, oh, they happened upon this place, now they're trying to piece together what happened.
Yeah.
But you don't. It's weird, but yeah, by the end of the movie, you hear that they pieced together what happened, but you don't actually get that during the movie. I think Marcus is like, oh yeah, we found out that it was the mouse, and they're like, what? And then you get to see
it all started with a mouse, the famous Walt Disney quote.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very much, and people complain about this all the time with Westworld. Not that I'm really saying the two are the same, but it's keeping you in the dark for the sake of hoping to have a big like reveal moment that they save as like credits footage. And I think that this is probably inspired a lot by the later Saw films that all take place within each other. And then at the end, you find out that it's really, this was actually all part of Jigsaw's plan, or, you know,
it took place during Saw 2. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. They were hoping to get that effect, but instead you're just so confused for so long. And then when it comes, it happens so fast. You're like, well, I would have liked to see that be revealed for the last hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also,
I mean,
I also feel like it never really justifies like why is Porter doing this?
No, it never does.
He wants
I guess he's crazy.
He wants to destroy the world? I don't what? Because his wife is dead? I don't know.
And for a while, he gets to see his wife, but then they say, hey, dude, your wife's dead.
Yeah.
Well, he obviously has to go buy some school supplies. Pencils and my
that was really funny. That was a great moment. Before we go any further though, Tyler.
Yes.
Tyler, could you please get back in the tent?
Yeah.
Could you please get in the tent? Tyler, could you please get in the tent? Tyler, please, could you please get in the tent?
Get back in the motherfucking tent!
That was an amazing performance by that guy there. His screaming voice. Get back in the motherfucking tent.
Despite the fact that it's completely coated in your own blood and vomit. Get back in there.
So do we want to talk about the move to zombie world in this story?
Well, it happens really quickly, right? So like basically we talked about the scene where we first realized that it's the callback scene that we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They're right outside the tent when he runs outside covered in blood. Then they, end up splitting up. He's going to stay there. They go venture out to this thing, this building that they saw on the island that was supposed to be totally abandoned.
Yeah.
And then the ship captain
don't worry
saw
about
it.
it.
He was like, no, there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, cool.
No occupado.
So they're there, and then what's his face ends up getting like a radio signal from somebody at what appears to be the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all get sent on diverging paths to zombie world. Dobbs
Yeah,
Marcus
Dobbs.
Get stuck, like that's the bunker part we were talking about. And then they end up meeting with a brother outside after coming across an entire corridor of waterlogged zombies.
Yeah. What I don't really understand making everyone zombies. What I do kind of like is like they seem to imply further in this movie that like as long as you don't have any like excessive force put on your body while you have this skin disease, your skin will be like, decrepit or whatever, but But like, nothing's gonna happen until someone hits you in the face or you shoot a gun and your arm's gonna break. You know, that was a moment where I was like, what happened here?
That moment was like one of the few that I actually was like, that's funny.
Yeah, that moment was probably the most fun I've had watching these movies so far.
Yeah, there's this like zombie security guard that's like, I can't let anybody escape, and he's been shooting the gun like for 5 minutes, and then he finally lines up the shot, and like. It's really, I thought it was confusing because I was like, huh? I thought for sure someone else shot him, but I think what happened was the force of shooting the gun was so strong that it broke his arm, and then it somehow flew up and impaled him in the head.
And then the gun barrel went into his eye and killed him.
Yeah. And then the other guy felt the need to pull it out in order to take it with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one thing if they're all dead and whatever, but... It's like, I don't believe that every single person in the building ran into this corridor to die. It's like, that just happened so that you can have the guys walking around for a little bit before they see all the dead bodies.
Right.
Right.
Well, the corridor also was like the exit, wasn't it? I think that's what...
I think it was the fail-safe self-destruct thing was in there.
Oh, right.
There's also a great point where the blonde doctor, like when she gets blood on her, if we can talk about that later too, she backs up and into the set and pieces of the set just fly off.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I love this moment. So everyone finds themselves, back at the the compound or whatever, and we have one of these weird, like, awkward comedy moments where they're like, come on, Dobbs, just open the door. Like, like, technology stuff, just open the fucking door. And then he's like, what do you want me to do? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, fine, I'll fucking try something, whatever. And he goes over and pushes one button, and he's like, there, I tried something. And then the door opens, and there's, like, this awkward moment where we're like, was that supposed to be super funny? I don't But they go in.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they go into this other bunker, I guess, where it turns out this is where like Bridget and Camilla and Dr. Edwards are. And I love this scene where Bridget shows up and she's like, she's being super suspicious, but the guys don't seem to notice at all. The first thing out of her mouth is like, oh, how'd you guys get here? Did you guys have a boat? And they're like, yeah, we came in a boat. And she's like, oh, yeah. I mean, she doesn't really say this, but she might as well have been like, oh, well, is there gas in the boat? How many people does it fit? Is there room for at least one? And she's being like super like sketchy. Like, obviously she's going to try to take the boat and leave you guys. And they're just like, blonde doctor? Wow.
Blonde doctor, get on our boat.
But this is another moment where we get what I think is supposed to be like the second callback to the first film. With her mouth reveal when Camilla's like, show him your skin, Bridget. Show him your skin.
It's so stupid because it's like she's trying to prove the point that Bridget has the disease, but it's not like so insistent that, like, why is it anybody's burden of proof or business that she show her skin? Well,
it's because she was being shady and she was trying to, like,
frat boy logic of the Cabin Fever series.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the other girl that's like lambasting her about it. Be like, show your skin. Come on, do it. Show them your skin so that they can see that callback to the first movie. It's just like...
Yeah, and she pulls down her, N95 mask, and it's got, just really gross skeleton teeth and everything.
Basically just teeth, yeah.
Just like the first movie with Karen or whatever.
Which, like, wouldn't she just be like, okay, fine, I give up. I'm not going to try this plan anymore. And then just not show her skin if she's that. Yes, I don't know.
Well, no, she proceeds to take off more clothes and then get in a girl fight with a zombie.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
That happened. That happened in the movie, yes.
And would you... I think that this might actually be true. I don't know if you guys would agree, but I wouldn't think that the movie with a cat fight between two zombies that ends with somebody being beaten to death with a giant black dildo would happen in the least offensive of the Cabin Fever movies. But I think that that's true.
I know.
There's a lot to... Well, no, there's not really, but there are things to unpack. And that scene is by far the worst part of the movie.
The fight?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's two girls that are completely decomposed, taking their clothes off and having a chick fight for no reason, essentially. Like, Penny doesn't actually know anything about this girl or what's going on. The other girl is so far gone, she sees how bad Penny is. She doesn't need to get in a rolling wrestling match with her. She could have just turned around, got on the boat, and left. Or hit her once and then left.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you on the this was the worst scene in the movie, but I also kind of enjoyed it because of how gross everything was.
Is it because there was a decomposed
gross.
nipple?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. No, I just thought, the whole time it's happening, and I was like, based on all the other movies, they both should have crumbled into nothing by now. But it was just so gross, like all of their flesh.
It was super gross.
And her like ripping her chest open, and then they're like still going at it, and then the final moment where it's like she's trying so hard to choke her out that her arms break. I don't know.
It's just like, in the past, you have the disease and it's an actual disease. You are ill.
Right.
You're unable to move. You're tired. This one, it's like, you get the disease, but you also get superhuman powers briefly. More like a zombie,
right.
But you're not really a zombie. Like, we keep saying zombie fight, but they're not zombies. They're not dead.
Right,
like
right.
The two girls are definitely, the guy in the corridor maybe is like a zombie, but these girls are not dead. And there's just with as gross as it is, like, it takes away from imagining the amount of pain they're in to have them fighting this much, because there's no way that if you were that messed up and in that much pain, you would continue this useless fight against someone you don't even know for no reason.
Just running on pure adrenaline at that point.
I guess.
I just liked that it was just so over the top, and I was just like, wow, the you can see like the layers of her chest being ripped open, and it was just so gross.
And I think it has a lot to do though with the way that it's shot and written, because if there had just been a super, super gross fight like that, and it's two girls and the skin's falling apart and all these horrible things, like, okay.
Yeah.
But the way that they treat it is like, oh, chick fight, like it's a wet t-shirt Jello wrestling match or something,
Yeah. It doesn't quite.
That's what I think is the problem there.
Yeah, it doesn't go like all the way into like maybe a parody hilarious thing where maybe they thought like, oh man, people will think this is really funny or something. But
yeah, I think it's exploitative the way it's filmed.
Yeah. But I don't think anyone wins that fight. I think they both are just dead at the end, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And
I mean, maybe you win if you aren't the one that got killed by the blue buck dildo.
That's true.
That's like, you're dead, but at least it wasn't by dildo.
That's the standard I've set for myself.
Yeah, the other...
if I can make it through life without getting killed by a big black dildo, then, I've done all right.
Yeah. The other two guys die from stupidity, I think, on the way back to the beach.
Both of them are like, like, oh, what'd you say? Dead.
The way the doctor kills Dobbs is so stupid, because like Dobbs has like, Dobbs has a gun on this dude, and
it's equivalent of like, oh boy, I bet that gun's real heavy. You want me to hold it?
Yeah. He's like, oh, I notice you're just barely starting to have the disease. Like, hey, if you put that gun down, I can help diagnose it better for you. And he goes up to him and he's like, ooh, it looks like it's worse than I thought. It's fatal. And then shoots him in the head.
It's like, okay, good line, but like,
I was like, come on.
Stupid is Dobbs.
He's clearly an idiot. No wonder the business failed or whatever. Yeah.
If you have the disease, having a doctor look at it at this point is not going to make any difference. Like,
exactly. You've seen what it does to people. Like, what's he going to do? Oh boy, it's really advanced. Let me shoot you in the face. Bye.
Yeah, because this is the point where like there's distrust zone with the doctor. Porter or Sean Astin is being like, no, he lured you, like he's doing this and he's trying to make everyone not trust anybody. And it's like, it's unclear what anybody wants and why.
Yeah, we don't even really understand, like, why doesn't he just work on the cure like a normal person?
Yeah, right.
Like, he doesn't need to have any, crazy plans, evil plans to become, like, the savior of the world. If he fucking makes the cure, he will anyways.
Evil base.
Yeah, exactly. His Tony Stark mansion up on the hill. Yeah, they all come to the beach, and people die. And Marcus and Camilla and Porter get to escape back to the... Oh, no. Yeah, this was really funny because there's this whole thing about the failsafe. We got to turn off the failsafe because the water's going to do. And I feel like the movie,
Right.
I feel like it's like, they're all like, all right, we killed the doctor. Let's leave on this boat. And then all of a sudden it's like a giant explosion in the background. And I felt like the actors and also myself were like, oh, right. They were going to blow up that place. I totally forgot.
The explosion is so pathetic, though. It's
Yeah.
not near the building at all. It's behind the
It looks like
first
it's on the
row
beach.
of trees
Yeah.
on the beach. They can't move the camera out because it doesn't even go above the tree, so they have to keep it like in the frame. But you can tell by the size of the fire that it's not off in the distance. It's right there. And it doesn't do anything to the water. So the disease is in the water anyway and gonna
Yeah.
go all over the world.
Doesn't make sense. You do
So
see a shot of
Oh, go ahead,
of the
Jonathan.
boat, and the explosion's like, whoa! You could see it from the boat.
We talk a lot about, was that the biggest explosion we've ever seen on Sequel Rights movie? We don't really talk about disappointing ones. I feel like
The
this might
smallest
be one of the
explosion.
smallest explosion that we've ever seen, or at
Yeah.
least the most disappointing.
I would have rather had them poorly animate or CG extra flames like on the top of the island because
Yeah.
at least that would have made sense.
So this is the part of the movie where they all get on a boat, and I went up to got to the kitchen, and then Sean Astin wasn't there, and I assumed that the Eagles just came and took him.
Yeah, we get a cameo from Alpha 5 right at the end of the movie here. The boat captain is like, "Hey, what happened to your friends?" And there's like a moment of silence. And then he's like, ay, just like that.
He's
Well,
like, Rangers, you gotta.
This is
you
like a
gotta keep
horrible boat captain. He doesn't even care. Like, this is how the open water people got lost. He's not even counting the number of people.
That's right.
Like,
he came back with a different guy and lost some of them. Like, okay, whatever.
he probably just thought that that's why he said, "What happened to your friend?" Because he assumed that the scientist lady and Sean Astin were the girl and the one guy. And he's like, "Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's only one person missing." Like,
Before
Nope, he wants to live on the island now. Cool.
before we get into the like final scene here, I forgot I wanted to bring up one other amazing moment in the movie. Do you guys remember? I don't know if you remember this scene, but do you guys remember the 6-minute doorknob scene? Where for like 5 minutes he's like, "I'm gonna open this door. I'm gonna open the door. It's gonna happen." And it keeps cutting back to Dobbs in the background, and you're like, someone's gonna be behind Dobbs, like for sure. But the scene goes on for so long. "I'm gonna open this door. I'm gonna do it." And then I feel like the payoff of that scene is not correct. It's like there's a moment during it where you're like, "Oh shit, this is really awesome, intense," and then you're like, "Okay, now it's going too long." And then
well, he shuts the door on Marcus and runs away, right?
Well, no, this is the moment like he kicks open the door and there's nothing there, and then all of a sudden this is the reveal of like the security guard zombie guy behind
Yeah.
behind Dobbs.
Yeah.
But it's like the reveal doesn't come at the right moment. Like the pacing of that whole thing was really strange. Anyways, back to the ending. I just thought that scene was really funny.
Wait,
No,
I have to tell you,
it was insane.
Can I tell you a stupid story related to Dobbs shutting the door on Marcus and running away
Yes.
instead of helping him?
Sure.
When I went to Brazil in college, we were in a hotel room that I was sharing with my friend Kristen, and we were checking out the bathroom because it had a bidet, and we had like never seen a bidet before, and so we're like, "I don't get it. Like, what do you do?" And so we're like looking at it, and she like leans over, and, like turns the water on, and being like, "I don't know, nothing's happening." So she like leans over more and turns it more, and the water just sprays out of the thing all over the room into her face. And instead of jumping in to help, I instinctively ran out of the bathroom and closed the door behind me.
No. That's
So
messed
I'm
up.
as bad of a friend as Dobbs.
You're just like Dobbs.
Well, at least you wouldn't be tricked by, here, that gun looks heavy. Why don't you let me hold it?
That's true.
Yeah, I hope not. Jesus.
So yeah, the boat.
So Tyler, you missed the big like, oh my god, the water's poisoned moment in the final scene. You were kind of like, well, the movie's done. Happily ever
I
after.
watched it. I was just like, the damn Eagles again. They got Samwise just gets out of there.
That's right.
So yeah, whenever someone hands you a bottle of water, you got to look for that safety seal before
That's right.
you unscrew
Well,
it.
he used a syringe. He got around it.
That's
Oh,
true.
did he?
Yeah, that's why there was a syringe there. I did like that. It was. I mean, I didn't rewind it to look, but it didn't seem like when he gave them the waters that there was any blood. But then afterwards, there was like really obviously blood in the water bottle. Where I would have been like, I'm not drinking this.
You hear a gunshot. It seems like that. Like what happens is that you only see the blood after the gunshot, and it seems like that the blood might even drip from the ceiling, perhaps.
No,
like it's like direct on an audio cue. Like it's like a hard cut somehow.
Yeah, and then they see like, oh shit, there's a syringe, and they're like, Porter.
Also,
Porter,
what's the deal with his obsession with cutting himself open and bleeding? Like he could have just taken a piss or spit in the water. Like he did not have to put his blood.
Because he's not smart. No, I don't know. He seems smart. He tricked all these.
He just wants to watch the world.
He tricked all these idiots
again.
into dying.
So yeah, the movie.
I like how they're like, we were the only ones left who knew he was a carrier. I'm like, what is he gonna go do? Is his goal just to like go live a normal life? Like, oh, no one knows I'm a carrier. I'll be fine.
This movie, it ends, and then the credit sequence is like this reverse like time bullshit. Where we see that like Porter was the one who lured them to the outpost in the first place.
Yeah.
And like Porter like infected the bunker by infecting a mouse. And that Porter is now on a dinghy heading towards the mainland.
Yeah.
I just think it would have been just
he's gonna go to the
it would have
wedding
been
instead.
just as satisfying, if not more, had we just seen Porter doing these things all along. Because you still would have been like, he's trying to escape. I totally get it. Like, you don't have to keep it like a secret. They just, they were just so into that Saw like idea that they had to keep it till the end. Where it's like, it doesn't need to be that way. You still feel the same way about the situation had he been doing this all throughout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't make like it's like okay, so he's heading towards the mainland. Like, why?
He's off to infect those kids in the first cabin. I'm kidding. Because it's a prequel, right? I'm joking.
But yeah, like if during that long stretch when we got the people going on the boat and the wedding party and the bachelor and all these things, like if it had kept cutting back to the lab and we saw the mouse escape and the people get sick and then go in the, that would have been just as good, if not better. It didn't all need to be jammed into a rewind credits sequence.
Yeah. They even cut back to him singing Three Blind Mice again, and that's how they're like, "Oh my god, he was singing the song."
That's the thing that she realizes, like,
he was
and
singing the
what?
song.
Not related at all, because he's not the one that let the mouse escape. No. And she didn't even know that the mouse escaped. It was the blonde girl that dropped the mouse.
That's why he sang it. Oh my god,
he was singing the song.
I should have known.
And like, I don't know about you guys, but when she reacted that way, I was like, wait, did I miss something? Like, is there something that I like? Is this a failure as me as a viewer? Which like is fair sometimes when we're watching these movies, but no, it was a complete non sequitur.
Yeah. I don't know. That was really funny, I thought. But yeah, they die, and the movie ends on a before we get this little montage during the credits, it ends on a shot where I was like, is the boat gonna blow up? I don't know if anyone else had that thought.
I did too. I was like, please let the boat blow up.
I was hoping, because that would have been hilarious.
He also kills the captain for no reason.
No witnesses.
Yeah, the captain wouldn't care.
He doesn't know shit. Yeah, whatever.
He doesn't know anything. He left 3 people on that island and didn't give a shit.
Also, like the people, I don't know. Yeah, Marcus and Camilla, like, what were they gonna do? It's not like, oh, as soon as we get back to the mainland, it's back to the lab with you, Porter. Just because we got off this island doesn't mean you're not gonna go back and be a part of
Back
this.
to the lab again, yo.
Cabin Fever 4, back to the lab.
Back to the lab. Well, yeah, it's funny you say that because I mean the movie was apparently originally the plan was for there to be like another movie right after this that was supposed to be shot back to back called Cabin Fever Outbreak, but that didn't happen. So.
Yeah.
Instead,
they're going to make Sean Astin the Moriarty of the Cabin Fever universe with a.
I mean, that could be honestly part of the reason why they could have gotten him to sign on if it was like, hey, there's probably going to be multiple movies and you're going to be
you're going to be like the big bad,
a main person in all of them or something. Yeah.
Yep.
That could have been a reason for him to sign on for sure. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to bring up? Do you feel like you understand who Patient Zero is?
No, I don't think so, other than just what I'm going to say in the rating. So
rating.
Rating for this one. There's an obvious thing that we're not going to do.
What? No gigantic black dildos? Is that what you're...
Yeah. Yeah. But I refuse. I refuse to do it.
How many?
But how many can't think of anything else.
How many motherfucking tents?
Yeah, how many motherfucking tents?
Or street light keychains.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was dumb. That was so dumb.
All right. Yeah. Streetlight keychains. Would you give Cabin Fever Patient Zero?
I was like, did you forget the title of the movie?
I paused for dramatic. I wanted you to figure out if I was going to open up the doorknob or not open up the doorknob.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to give this 3 street lamps out of 10 because I really didn't like the last movie, and so pretty much almost anything would have been a step up for me.
Yeah.
And yes, I mean, I think this movie also isn't super great, but I think that it killed it in the, special effects makeup department. The gore is like top notch in this, and I think that's, like I said earlier, like that's one of the reasons like you're watching Cabin Fever in the first place. Like everyone's talking about how gross the skin disease is. Like, so if you don't nail that, then you really messed up the movie. It's true with all of them that there could have been better written characters, maybe a little bit better story, but I think the premise. I don't know. The premise for this one is a little bit weird. I don't understand the whole evil doctor thing. I was about to be like, the premise is okay, but no, I don't know. I think they could have.
There's cool elements to it, and I think that's the thing that's the issue. Like, there's things that we like about this, and there was parts of the movie where it actually got me excited of like, oh, it's actually going to go somewhere fun here, I think. And then it always lets you down, which somehow makes it worse.
Yeah, I almost would have liked if it was, like they could have edited it differently so that it was just all about the bachelor party weekend bros discovering crazy shit going on this island instead of having already knowing the entire movie what is going on the island, and maybe it would have been more fun.
I kept also thinking that maybe one of them was his son, and that this was like he came to look for them, kind of thing.
Right? See, it was confusing, I guess. So yeah, I feel like three street lamp keychains.
I feel like I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead, Leo.
No, I was saying, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say I feel like I'm gonna have to agree with that, and then I was also just gonna say that for the reason is because just like that, there was premises there was times where these characters had a shot of being the most likable, normal human beings of any of this series, and by the end of it, there's 2 girls fighting it out and ripping each other's clothes and skin off and bludgeoning each other with a giant dildo. So that's where that ends up. And so I think the movie is more disappointing because it actually showed points where there's potential.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm going to give it to Street Light Keychains because I like, okay, so the other one, like the other two movies, we like kept knocking it for being like just outwardly hateful and spreading like anti-gay, anti-female, racist, just shit everywhere. And this one has things that are dumb and stupid and stereotypical, but not like aggressively hateful. You know, like two girls having a sexy sort of fight, or like, you know, the female characters just being like dumb and pithy, you know, is not as bad as like the active like white male rage and like toxic masculinity that we saw in some of the other movies. So yeah, like these female characters are not good, but they're also not like actively damaging in anything that they like, you know, say or do. And I agree with you that like, yeah, we talked about how that guy, he actually took care of his girlfriend. Like, yeah, he was a little bit dumb and he was a little bit crass, but like that can be human still. Like,
and his friends called him out on that shit. They were like, the shit that comes out of your mouth. And so I think
him and his brother actually, they do somehow like end up being the most human people in this entire franchise, because their motivations and the way that they act, even if you might not agree with it, it at least makes logical sense, like a human brain might do. Even when the other friend Dobbs tries to like get them to turn against each other by revealing that he had had relations with his girlfriend, the brother like kind of gets mad, but he doesn't full on take the bait, and then they use it to distract him and take the gun. So it's just kind of like so yeah, and also it didn't have some of the god-awful, just weird technical issues that the second one had. But yeah, I wouldn't go up to 3 with you guys. I would still say 2, because it's just all over the place. And, well, no, it's not all over the place. It's one tone that is dumb, you know? Like the other one, like first movie had Whiplash. The second movie had a tone that was good, but content that was bad. This one, I think, has, you know, just a bland nothing tone and like whatever content.
The thing I got to say about it though is that like in the context of the ratings, I think that that's correct, and it was not a good movie. But in terms of sequels and in terms of this franchise in particular, where I think that the last movie was the worst movie we've watched for this, this movie is a totally fine sequel. In terms of like, you know, there's callback stuff. It's not a good movie, but it's extending out from a formula that probably shouldn't extend out from 2004. But you know, if you're making that type of movie in 2011 and you're updating it and doing stuff, it's doing a lot of things right. And we've knocked worse movies or better movies for more. I think that just with this franchise, the bar is very low.
It does have a lot of the like, you know, buzzwords and science that we now are living with every single day. But when this movie came out, we might have been okay, you know, like it's a more of a amorphous mystical virus thing, whereas now we like live with this shit every day that we're thinking about it and reading about it. And so you see it and you're just kind of like, oh, you know, things could be worse.
Sean Astin in the whole movie is like, I'm going to die. He's like, I'm going to die in quarantine. I'm going to die in quarantine.
I mean, do you hear that? It sounds like a dinghy motor.
Dr. Fauci is no Dr. Edwards, you know?
Yeah,
that's right. He's not like, this is my legacy. Yeah.
Although we're probably, a week away from Trump doing a press conference with hot blondes and lab coats.
Oh, God. Yeah, probably. Oh, my God. Yeah, well, I think that's going to bring us to the end of Cabin Fever Patient Zero. But don't worry, you guys. There's more. There's one more. One more Cabin Fever film, and it's a remake. Can you believe it? 2016's remake of Cabin Fever is what we're talking about next. I hope it's just
like an HGTV special of them remodeling the cabin.
What if it's what if it's literally the exact same movie as the first one?
It's a shot for Gus Van Sant did it?
Yeah. And you're just going to be like, oh no. I've seen this
it's on, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I know already who directed it, so I'm
I do not.
I'm interested to see how it's changed from the original. So yeah,
interesting. Well, yeah, Eliz, you want to tell people where they can reach out to us again?
yes, we need to know where to go from here. So please email us sequelrights@gmail.com or reach out to us. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Sequel Rights. And let us know what you think about this series and what you think we should do next.
And please rate, review us on Apple Podcasts. We truly appreciate it. If you have a suggestion for what we should do next, put it there. We'll definitely see it. And thanks.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of this whole thing, I think we're really going to be relating heavily with the captain of the boat in this movie. But hey, I still got one more. We'll see you guys next week for Cabin Fever 2016.
Until that time, stay in your fucking tents.
Get back in the motherfucking tent!
See you guys.